Are you having trouble deciding whether or not you can afford to enter the housing market as a new buyer? Well, we're going to look into that today for you. My name is Robert.
And I'm Chad.
And this is Intellectually, the show where we help you hold us, the professionals, more accountable in the real estate industry. Sorry for that stip. Let's get it going.
All right. Everyone's talking about it. Housing affordability.
They're talking about it.
And everyone just thinks it's just a number. A rate, the price, even a payment. But really, affordability is much more than just a number.
True.
It's really a story. And until you understand your story, personal, professional, and even or lifestyle, you may not end up in a property that is a right fit for you either now or in the future.
I love it.
Very important that you take those into consideration, and we'll show you how.
Cool. So we got the idea. We're going to give you guys what you want. We're going to break down the numbers, of course. We're going to help you understand what affordability looks like and how you need to analyze it. But taking it to the philosophical idea, Chad was just speaking to what we argue is even more important.
We were arguing,
and it was heated. There's a philosophical side to house buying, and it's very important that you understand that philosophical side that we're going to get into after we go through the numbers, because this is one of the most important and largest purchases individuals make in their entire lifetime. Okay? So we got to get philosophical here. Now, that being said, we're going to run through a basic understanding of what the numbers look like, right? Most people come to us, run home, all excited with a pre-qualification and or a pre-approval. And they see one number on the top of that, right? You've been pre-approved for this amount.
Yay.
Yep. So we're looking, what number do we want to use? 350?
Yeah.
$350,000. You have a pre-approval, right? Your lender opened up the hood. They discussed with you how much you owe on your car, how much you might owe on student loans that you, we won't bring up student loans because that's an iffy one, right? But how much you might owe on your car, if you have credit card debt, if you have other investments that you're paying on, and they're going to analyze your debt to income ratio, and they're going to conclude you can afford this much on a house.
And basically what they're saying is, this is how much I am willing to give you.
That's how much I'm willing to give you.
As the lender, you're not getting any more than this.
Yep, right? But that being said, it's hilarious because the lender themselves don't even calculate that. They're not even thinking that route. They don't care the price of the house. What do they care about?
They care about if you can afford it.
If you can afford the monthly.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're looking at how much is your car monthly payment? How much is your credit card monthly payment? How much is all this? When they're doing debt to income, they're thinking about your ability to monthly pay that amount back. That's how you need to be thinking too. We live in a day where we finance and do not own less than we actually own, right? I mean, raise your hand if you own your car. Nope, right? Raise your hand if you own your home. Right? Your average, millennial and Gen Z, Gen X kind of individuals, they're not going to own their property on a regular basis. And once we finally pay off our car, what do?
We run into a pole. No.
We get a new car, right? And we start a new car payment. And then once we pay off our credit cards, what do? We get a new credit card debt. All these things contribute to the idea that we no longer need to think that one large number on your pre-approval. We need to start thinking about, what is my life like monthly? And can I afford to adjust that number any larger?
Think about it. If they give you a $50,000, your credit card company gives you a $50,000 limit, does that mean you're going to, I could go spend $50,000? No, you still got to pay that back.
Yeah. And that's just one mentality on understanding what we're speaking to. There's another mentality on understanding all the variables that can change with this property you buy for $350,000, right? So your lender says, I'll give you a loan for $350,000 property. You end up buying that. We could get into the details on why they'd end up giving you a little bit less because you got to put some principal down. But let's say they give you $350,000 in the loan. That's your principal. And then they give you, then they charge interest for that. On a traditional loan, which is called a fixed rate, those numbers aren't going to change. Say you buy this $350,000 house and your fixed rate numbers are going to be $1,700 a month, for example. Just throwing a number out there. That's not all of your mortgage, is it?
You're just talking about principal and interest.
I'm just talking about principal and interest. Okay. What's the rest of your mortgage entail?
Well, PITI. You have
PITI.
Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Beautiful. So PITI is the acronym a lot of professionals in the industry like to use. And two of those acronyms are not consistent, not confident, if you will.
They're not fixed.
No, they're not fixed. They can change drastically, and it is out of your control how they change, right? Taxes and insurance, right? Your property taxes could shoot up like a lot of people in St. Louis and both Missouri and Illinois side experienced. Every 2 years, the local government does a property assessment to evaluate the value of your property, and they will adjust your taxes. Well, what did we experience over the past 5 years, right? Huge property value increases. And the local governments recognize that since property values went up, taxes went up. And you have all these individuals that bought a property 3 years ago with this understanding that I got this fixed rate mortgage and numbers aren't going to change. And then all of a sudden, their property values shoot up. Or even after they shot up, they just got the reassessment of the property by the government. And now your property taxes are higher because they finally recognize that your property is worth more. I've seen some mortgages just from property taxes alone shoot up $300 a month. That's a crazy number when it comes to how you're trying to live monthly, right? Then we have the other part.
Well, so great, Robert. I've done the math.
Yeah.
Took my $350,000 pre-approval. I calculated the principal, the interest.
Yep.
The estimated taxes, insurance. Wow. I can afford that on a monthly basis. My mortgage.
Can.
Great.
You can.
Cool.
And
Is that
let's
it?
say a number,
Is that it?
That's it. So no, it's absolutely not
why
it.
not?
That's just the first part, right? Hold on. Can't be squeaking this. Sorry. Bonnie's squeaking the ball. But anyway, she looks so mad at me now. I did also want to say insurance is another thing that can change. But Chad, you're hinting at the other part, right?
Well, the things not included in a mortgage.
Not included in a mortgage that you need to be very aware of, right? Utilities, of course, a lot of people renting are already paying their utilities, but it's still very common that an individual is going to subconsciously forget about the utilities when they're thinking about their mortgage monthly payment, right? And can I afford to pay this? Utilities are a whole nother $300 to $600 cost that you need to include in your monthly payment, right? Electric bills have substantially gone up, correct? We've experienced so many buyers that purchased a house and experienced, literally $100 to $200 increase on their electric bill during the hot or cold season, right? Or hot season. That being said, you also have water, gas, sewage, and
internet,
security systems, all these things you need to calculate. What am I going to be investing in when it comes to this property?
Another thing you forgot is don't forget, you may have an HOA.
Yeah, got an HOA. And we kind of, when we were taking our notes on this, we said and or HOA because it's also important to look into your HOA and see what of those utilities they might take on. Right? Our previous podcast, we talked about condos. A lot of condominiums share utilities. So the HOA takes on the cost of the utilities and you simply have to pay the HOA instead. So it's an and or product. Why and? Well, when you just move into a nice subdivision, Lake St. Louis has a lot of water rights and different opportunities there. Or if you move into an area with a townhome, you're going to be paying those utilities and you're also going to be paying for those HOA amenities like a pool, gym, cutting the grass, upkeep in areas like that. So you're exactly
wonderful.
Right.
So I've got my mortgage,
Yep.
my PITI. I've got that under budget.
Yep.
Budgeted for utilities. That must be it.
Yeah, right. No, still not it. And we're trying not to scare you. We want you to be proactive so you can organize these numbers and really decide what you can afford, not if you can afford, right? But what was the last thing that we were thinking about?
I mean, reactive maintenance and repairs.
Reactive maintenance,
you
right?
own the home now.
Yep. So what did we conclude the average was the average recommendation of what you should put in the savings?
National average of what's considered, I would say, the safest bet is they always say keep about 1 to 4% of your property's value saved away for these reactive repairs and maintenance. Now that's a pretty big range.
Yeah, especially for a
pretty big range.
$350,000 house. That's
Yeah, I mean
3 to 4. That's
you're talking almost $15,000
Yeah.
at 4%, right? For
is that right?
$350,000.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. 4%, $15,000. 1%, $3,000. So what should I have? $15,000 or $3,000 in my savings account, right? I don't know. And we kind of broke down the best way to decide whether you're a 1%er, 2%er, 3%er, or 4%er. And remember, we're talking about money in your savings for uncontrolled failures on the property. Water heater goes bad. AC unit goes bad. She's fine. AC unit goes bad. Your roof leaks, your basement floods. All these things can be really annoying and chaotic.
5,000, 10,000, 12,000 there.
Yeah.
On all of these things, again, and I'm just obviously guessing, but those things add up.
Yep, and I want to go off script and really break in as well, if you don't mind talking to me about whether or not we should, for certain things, use insurance or not, because we might have a viewer that's like, well, I mean, those, I'll just use insurance on those, and that's not always a good idea, and we can break that down. But before we do that, the way we decide 1, 2, 3, and 4% should be based off the location, right? In a nice suburb, you might get less house for that $350,000 cost. And by getting less house, you're going to have less maintenance, correct? You might have a smaller house, thus a smaller water heater, and smaller water heaters are cheaper, as a simple example. You go to a less coveted area, you might
Hold
get...
on. Let's talk about water heaters for a second.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk
Just
about
want to
water
break
heaters.
it up. Me and Rob replaced a water heater.
Don't trigger the
this past week.
PTSD. It was awful.
It was awful?
Yeah.
Terrible?
So what happened was...
No, we saved about $2,000.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we estimated it would be about $2,500 to have a professional replace the water heater. And we ended up doing it ourselves.
We put our hard hats on. We were like, we're doing this.
Yeah. Now, DIY, we definitely recommend getting a professional, because there's a lot of risk when it comes to, especially with gas water heaters, but even electric water heaters, electrocuting yourself with water.
It only took
Carbon
3
monoxide. Yeah. Yeah. It only took three days, right? So what happened was this water heater was so bad. The sediment had clogged the bottom drain, and it was flowing out so slow. And we ended up having to tip it over and kind of splatoon pour it into a shop vac and keep emptying the shop vac. And there's pictures of Chad straddling this water heater while he's sucking the water out, and I'm running away, and he's got it plugged with his finger, like, hurry back. Oh, it was hilarious. Surprisingly, we didn't get
No one got hurt.
Nobody got hurt, but barely anything got wet.
We had a
Which is
carpet
great.
cleaner.
We had a carpet cleaner. Now, do keep in mind, this property we did it at, the water heater was upstairs, even though there was a basement, which was hilarious. But
Regardless, unexpected repairs and maintenance are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's having the understanding of what you may or may potentially be capable of or not, whatever the case may be, but it's imperative to understand what to expect.
proactively, right?
Proactive, right?
Inspectors during when you're going through your home.
When we got that property, we knew
Yep.
exactly what to expect with that
Oh,
water
it's so
heater.
funny. I keep making the joke because Chad, like, if you got a Chad, yeah, save money on the water heater. But no, we were joking. Next time Chad buys a property, he'll be like, "Oh, I see you guys just changed out the water heater. Do you guys mind putting the old water heater back in? I got a vendetta. My buddy Rob, I want to get back." But I do also want to say, to your point, when it comes to like being proactive, hint, hint. Your inspection contingency, when you get an inspector out to the property, don't only treat it as they're trying to identify problems with the property. They'll also walk the property with you and educate you on how to monitor and keep your property, proactively analyze your property for the next 5 to 10 years. So,
and it's a great point you make. You have to understand, we got the inspection report. We saw that water heater before. We purchased the property.
Yeah.
Right.
We negotiated,
We
yeah.
knew that this was going to be a problem in the future, but we used it as leverage, right,
Yep.
to negotiate the price down. And again, it's not anything that we didn't look at and be like, this property's horrible. This is going to be a huge headache. I want to run away from it.
Nope.
The water heater is not making or break it.
Nope.
Right. We were proactive with
Understood
it.
the
We
price.
negotiated it. We leveraged, and the problem's now fixed.
Yep. And even
For a
so,
long time, hopefully.
yeah, we negotiated more than it would have costed to have it replaced by a professional. It's just like Chad is saying. The objective of this show, this podcast episode, is to help you understand what you can afford and how you can afford it. So going back to the idea, we got these unexpected costs. You go to a location where you have to buy less house, you might not have to put aside as much money to keep that thing maintained, where you can put that money instead into the unfortunacy of maybe higher property taxes. You go to a less coveted area, you'll get more bang for your buck, but if you get more bang, you're going to get a bigger house. You're going to need a bigger water heater. You might have 2 AC units, one for the upstairs, one for the downstairs. And from that, if one goes, you got twice the problem, right? Twice the opportunity of an AC unit going down. So you're going to want to save more. Thus, nicer area, you might not have to put aside as much money, believe it or not. Less nice area where you get more bang for your buck, you might actually have to put more aside. And or if you wanted to look at it, how big your house is, square
Now,
footage.
You mentioned something before that is insurance.
Yeah.
And whether or not, if your insurance covers it, whether you should use, whether you should take a claim on your insurance and utilize insurance or just do it yourself.
Yeah. So there's a big understanding with insurance companies right now because they're going through some kind of epidemic or just change a reset because, the catastrophes with the wildfires that were going on in California and other states in that area. And then also the Midwestern states are having unanticipated claims with hail damage on roofs. What that's been doing is increasing the costs and the risk for insurance companies, and thus they're increasing their costs. What else are they doing? They're also prioritizing who they want to cover, right? So you have less of a chance if you use a lot of claims of getting good quality insurance because they will be like, this person runs risk of using their claims, of having more claims. So it's important to analyze the risk of using your insurance if a water heater goes bad, even if it's covered, right? There's a risk of analyzing based off how many claims you've already done, based off how much your deductible is, based off the price of the water heater itself. We could have went through our insurance company and had them pay for the water heater replacement, but that might have increased our rates. That would have been a claim on our, what they call clue report. And finally, if we analyze it and we're like, it's $600, it's actually cheaper for Chad and I to do it than go through the insurance company, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's the idea of...
The whole idea behind it all, right, is to understand from a perspective of what you can afford on a monthly basis versus the total cost of ownership. And I'll bring the pre-approval back. Just because a lender is telling you could purchase a property at $350,000 does not mean you should necessarily just jump and go and buy a property at the highest you absolutely can. Because one of the first things I always ask clients too is they see a nice big old pretty number in a pre-approval. I'm like, okay, where would you like your monthly budget to be at?
Absolutely.
For this home, and then they tell me $1,700.
Yeah,
and then I'm like,
yeah.
If that's your budget, you're not buying a $350,000 house. Even
and it's
though the lender,
crazy. And it's important to be strict about that budget too, because as you start hunting homes, I always tell Chad this. He's like, he got a new client, and he's like, this is their budget. I'm like, it's gonna go up. And he's like, I agree. And we both understood that this person was looking for things in a location that required more money. And we're like, unfortunately, they're going to start pushing that bill higher. And it's very important to recognize the next part we're going to get into of how risky it is to push that price higher. But before we move on, I wanted to do just a simple example. Can you pull up? We'll use, I don't know, do you guys want to use Zillow? Thank you, Zillow, for being there for us when it comes to property searches. Do you have it pulled up on the screen? There you go. So we got Zillow right here. I just want to see a simple property in Kirkwood, right? And any property. Find me a property in Kirkwood.
Never mind.
No, you're good. Okay. Click anyone. Okay, cool. Make sure it's a house, not a condo. Okay, so we got this house right here. Let's look through this house. $260,000. Looking through it. It's a cute house, right? Very cute.
Bath, small house, 900 square
Yep.
or 912 square feet.
Yep.
Updated.
Now let's go over to Belleville, Swansea, Collinsville area on the Illinois side. You're good. You're good. Where did we end up going?
We're not licensed in
To
Canada.
Ontario.
Hey, Canada. All right, cool. So now we're in the Swansea area. Let's try and find a property for 200. So this is $100,000 less. Let's try and find a property in that $260,000 price range.
Right there, there's 260 right there in the middle for you.
Beautiful. All right, let's look at this property in verses. Is this a nicer property?
Yes.
Absolutely.
3 bed, 2 bath.
It's beautiful.
1,000 more square
It's
foot.
so cool.
It looks much better.
So there's some crazy attributes. Obviously, you guys already know one of the biggest things that we're pointing out here is the fact that
They have different zip codes.
the different zip codes. You're like, well, I want to live in Kirkwood, right?
And,
I like.
and for those who may not
Yeah.
be very familiar with the specific area, how far apart? If you had to drive, how
30
far
minute,
apart are the
30
spots?
minute drive. Yeah,
30-minute drive.
Hop on 444, head on down. You'll end up in Swansea area. But the biggest difference is 2 huge things that instantly pop up. One is obviously the location, township, and everything. But the other thing is you cross that river, you jump up in taxes tremendously, right? So all of a sudden, if you're a person that got approved for $260,000 and you see that house in Kirkwood, you're like, this is a beautiful house, right? But then you see the house in Belleville, you're like, this is
Yeah,
simply
why
more
wouldn't
bang
I?
for my buck. Pull that house back up in Belleville. What are the property taxes on it? How much?
43.55.
$43.55. Go back to Kirkwood. This is on a whim, right? I think you could probably just go back. Like, yeah. Keep going.
One more.
You keep
One
going.
more.
You were clicking
I
a
should've
couple.
just-
You're good. Nope, no, you're good. Keep going.
Keep going back.
Come on, be
You're
confident.
almost there.
Be confident. You got this. We're getting it. We're in Canada. Keep going. You can click it a couple times, I promise. There we go. So, are we in Kirkwood?
There we go.
No, that's not
That's
it.
Baldwin.
All right. If you just want to, you're clicking the back so slowly. You're like,
First
I
time
would-
with a
I would have
third
been
screen.
like, yeah, I would have been like, get
Today.
back. No, you're good. All right. So let's find that property
Nope.
again.
Yeah, there you go.
What are the property taxes on this one?
Oh gosh.
Putting you on the spot.
I'm going too far.
You really put me on the spot here.
No, you're good. This is healthy. How
Mine
much?
is- so we're talking
1828.
Okay. So the property taxes on the first one were what?
A little over 4,000.
4,000.
A little bit, and then the
4,000
other
some
one
change.
were
1,800.
1,800, right?
Talking
We're talking about
$2,500 difference.
$2,500 difference, and you said, can you unlock that? You just did the math.
Yeah, so roughly a $2,500 difference yearly. You divide that by 12, you're looking at about $210 extra
Cool.
per month.
So
alone on taxes.
I got approved for $260,000, but this house is so much nicer. But you didn't realize not only was it location an opportunity, you got these property taxes that are more than double, that increase your monthly spending by $200 plus dollars. You're also probably going to have a weird conversation that you weren't anticipating with your lender. You're like, hey, I want this property. They're like, you told me you wanted to live over here. And you're like, yeah, now I want to live over here. And the lender's going to be like, I didn't tell you this, but I anticipated that your property taxes were going to be in the $2,000, not the $4,000 range. I can't approve you for $260,000, $270,000. Now all of a sudden, can't have that house, right? So in that regard, it's very important not only to understand what you're paying monthly, but there's a reality that the lender is assuming what you're paying monthly as well, based off that scenario. That's just a simple reality check, right?
Which then moves us into our next point, right?
Right.
Beyond just the financials on what you can afford, there are other things that you need to consider. We have broken those down into 3 categories about you that affect your own personal affordability. We have 1 that is lifestyle.
Yep.
We have 2 that is professional. And 3, we have personal. Okay?
And I think it's important because we talked about this. We got to be clear on understand what we're trying to achieve here, because this is the philosophical side of it, right? This is the after you purchased it, what you need to understand is going to affect your ability to pay this monthly fee you've decided to pay, right? And so we had the lifestyle, professional, personal.
These are 3 categories that you really need to dive in depth on when you're considering buying a home. You need to find where you are in those categories, what resonates most with you, and prepare for it in the future. Because if you don't, you may love the house for the first 3 years, but you have a kid.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids. Now that house is too small. You're like, oh man, I really wish I would have thought about that. That would be a personal.
Yeah. So let's break down each one, right?
Yep. So first,
Give me
we
examples.
have lifestyle. And we're going to go in order on ones that you have the most control over versus what you have the least control over. Lifestyle, we determine you have the most control over your...
And why is it important to understand the most control versus least control?
Because as far as lifestyle goes, if you're going to make a decision based off of lifestyle alone, you better make sure that that's the lifestyle you want to live.
Well, I guess that's personal. You mean if you have more control over the lifestyle, because you were just saying this, if you have more control over lifestyle, maybe you can make riskier decisions if you're more invested in lifestyle than you are in personal.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool.
So,
I just wanted to make sure I understood you.
What would you say is an example of a lifestyle decision?
Well, I mean, when I think of it, I think of the type of person that individual is and what they're interested in, right? If you're a nerd and you like collecting things like D&D, card collecting, or what does Henry Cavill really like? Warhammer 3000 or something. All those things can be very expensive, but are interests. If you're a sports player, you like going out with friends and you're a very social butterfly. We are, right? We live in Soulard, so we're out and about a lot, right? So that can end up being something that is also costly that you got to understand based off your lifestyle and the location you want to live. But like you said, if the going gets tough and prices get tight, finances get tight, you can just stop going out. You could stop collecting more and more Warhammer, right? You could stop getting more parts for your computer. That's what we mean by lifestyle being more of a controlled atmosphere if you're investing in that currently when you buy this house. So then what was the next topic?
The next topic is professional.
Yeah.
Right? Examples, your income.
Yep.
Any job changes, any job losses, any promotions, relocation.
Job status.
Your business is doing very well. It's growing like crazy. Oh, you had to shut your business down. You had to close up shop. All of these things obviously impact your finances, right? And they impact other things as well. But things that you need to seriously consider. Again, not only what you have in front of you right now, but what is it going to look like in the future? And we put moderate control down for this.
Moderate control, yep.
No one's forcing you to stay
At your
a
current
job
job
that you don't like. No one's forcing you to move somewhere across the country to get a job. Now it's a personal, or that's a decision that you can make on your own.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you still need to make money.
Yep.
You still need to be able to afford your home. You still need to pay for the things, your
Yin
expenses,
and
the
yang
things that you
kind of
need.
idea, yep.
So while you do have control over how you get the money,
Yep.
in a lot of ways, you also, not everyone has the most luxury to be able to just pick and choose whatever they want on a given day on how to make money.
So to truly understand the idea of that moderate control, we always ask our clients, like somebody's like, should I buy a house? And you're like, well, how comfortable are you in your current job? I've been working for 3 years consistently and I enjoy it. I'm comfortable with the money. Nothing's going to change. We're like, cool. I'm comfortable with you maybe risking a little bit more. on the house, as long as you're comfortable with your debt and debt to income ratio and your affordability around that. But if you're like, I just got promoted, there's no going back, right? And if I fail this, I got to find a brand new job. That could be a little bit more risky, but you still have the control of finding that brand new job. And there's a lot of ways to make income these days, right? So it is a moderate control based off the fact that you have to have an income, but you can manipulate it here and there. Just make sure when you're deciding the risks that you're taking on, extra costs for that additional bathroom or extra costs for that additional sunroom. If your job is finicky or you just moved out here, might not be strategic. But if you're comfortable in your job and you've been there and you'll be there years from now, yeah, make that risk, right?
And number 3, personal. Life shifting, so the home must shift too.
Yeah.
Correct? This is the one that we really, truly feel that you're going to have the least control over. Now, we're talking about family. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about your own health, stability, safety, life transition, death, divorce, anything that is a personal impact that you, again, have to decide. Why am I doing this? Okay, I just got divorced. Great. I'm doing it because we need to sell the house. I don't want to ever see my husband's face again. So I'm going to get out of the state. You just had a baby, right? We only have 2 bedrooms. We want another kid. We need more than 2 bedrooms.
Well, and let's take it even further, right? Because we're talking about affordability and paying it off afterwards. We also ask young couples, hey, do you plan on starting a family? Do you plan on having more kids? Because this could affect how long you're going to own this property for. And if they have 1 kid and they plan on having 2 more, they're probably going to want another 2 bedrooms.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to backtrack you a little bit. We asked that to young professionals too as well, not only about their kids. Hey, you just moved here to the city. Are you going to be here for more than 3 to 4 years? Because if not, you need to think about what your exit plan is going to be.
And it's like,
again, it's the idea of planning for the future now. And the problem with that is you may not even have it figured out yet. You may not even truly have.
That's where we come in. Oh yeah, that's true.
Of what what your goals are, right? But again, you can find properties in ways that can tier to that. As well.
So all these attributes come in, and it's important to understand where you want to have them contributing to you 3, 5, and 10 years from now. If you plan on having those kids within the next 5 years, you might be moving out of your house to buy a new home that's bigger in 7 years. And because of that, are you going to sell this house? So we, as professionals, then go, okay, you want to look for a house that's not going to depreciate in value based off this area. And or you might want to rent the property out after you move out of it and use it as a retirement plan. You know what I mean? So we're going to help you decide a property with good walkability, good means of lacking functional obsolescence we can look into. And we'll be like, okay, this property is going to be fun and exciting for the next 5 to 7 years. And when you go to move out, it's not going to be difficult to fill it with a tenant. It's not going to be difficult to short-term Airbnb it. That's why this property would be best for you. And like you were talking about, are you living in this state for that period of time? Well, no, 3 years. So I don't want to buy a house. What are you talking about, right? You should buy a house. Let's just get one that's going to be easy to manage, has a good upside even after a property management company is involved, and use this as an extracurricular retirement, just the same way the other couple did that are having kids and moving out, right? Same idea, kind of idea. When it goes to professional, you kind of hinted at it when you're like, well, are you going to be here professionally for more than 3 years? No. So that's partially in professional. And then interests along the lines of like, I see couples buy a property based off the beauty of the home, but they forget their own personal interests and their lifestyle. And they end up going, man, I wish I just sacrificed some things on the house so I could live over here because this is where all my friends and my hobbies are. Right. And I found that out 3-5 years from now. Does that make sense? So that's kind of like what we mean and what Chad was saying by it's not only the numbers, right? You really got to be thinking about who you are and how who you are will contribute to your costs and ability to pay this back 3, 5 and 10 years from now, right? So that's kind of where we stood.
Yeah. So what does this mean for
Yeah.
affordability, right? If you determine that you're making a lifestyle decision to go move somewhere, you're more than likely you're going to be paying for your identity. You're not going to be paying for just utility, for location, for preference. You're going to be paying for the identity of that neighborhood, that location, that property, whatever the case may be. There are going to be additional expenses.
Yeah.
You are going to be paying a price for that. The neighborhood and lifestyle become a part of the cost.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's something that you very need to understand. Professionally, typically we can assume that you may think more in terms of risk.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just about the price. You're looking at everything. You're looking at how risky that investment is. You're looking at the future outlook of what that's looking like. Again, and I think that's kind of funny to the point is the lifestyle is so finicky because I truly do believe that a lot of the times it's just that the specific buyer hasn't quite figured out exactly
What kind of lifestyle they want to live after they buy.
Because I think if they actually decide, hey,
Yeah.
I'm a lifestyle decision, then you go and you realize all the costs incurred with just making a lifestyle decision.
Yep.
You're like, man, this actually does not make sense financially
Yep.
speaking.
Well, I mean, yeah, we talked about moving into Soulard. The house is cheap. It's cool and everything. But we're spending so much more money just based off the fact
Eating
that
out.
we live in Soulard. People will come to our place and they'll be like, hey, let's go out. And it's hard to control, even though it's lifestyle, to say no. And then you end up spending money at dinner and you spend another $70 there. Last second, you didn't anticipate it. Lifestyle for the people that want to live in the country. You buy that bigger house. And you're like, gosh, I just want this lovely couch. You know, you're a big collector and you're like, I got this game room in the basement. And you drop $5,000 on that game room. And it's all because of your lifestyle. The point I'm trying to make about the lifestyle is it can sneak up on you. Even though you have a lot of control over it, when you buy a new house, just like any person that's excited with their new toy, you're going to want to play with it. So whether your lifestyle is going out with your friends and enjoying the atmosphere of where your house is located, you might accidentally spend too much money there. So be conscious of what kind of lifestyle you're living. And if you are more of a collector and you buy yourself a nice house with a cool gaming room or a spa or something, you might accidentally spend too much money there. So be conscious of that lifestyle being controlled, but can get out of control accidentally.
Thanks, Rob. Last one.
Yeah.
Real quick is the lifestyle piece of it. Or, sorry,
Huh?
talking too much, the personal piece
Yeah.
of it. Again, these situations,
Mm-hmm.
and we find buyers moving because of these situations, we typically see their non-negotiables increase. They go
Mm-hmm.
from really having to determine what their must-haves are,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to compare it to what is the must or the nice-to-haves.
Yeah.
Right? The things that they need versus the wants.
Yep.
Right? They are going to be less flexible in this regard.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
They typically find you're on a fixed timeline, right? You're not like, oh, I want to move out to Florida, and by next summer because I want to be up by the beach. Well, that would be a lifestyle decision, right? I just had a kid, and my house is too small.
Yeah.
I need to be in a house before this, before my child's before 1 years old, whatever the case may be, right? Timeline is more fixed. That means typically you may find yourself in a situation where potentially you're less flexible on the price.
And if you're
Right.
less flexible on the price, you're going to have to maybe compete more bid-wise. You might have to make sacrifices and spend more for those sacrifices.
I'm going to ask you a question, throw you
Yeah.
a bit of a curveball. What is probably the most important overlooked piece in a personal decision?
Overlooked piece. Ooh.
What is
Re-articulate that question.
Yeah, I don't think that was a good,
Yeah, no, you're
good
good.
way to ask. So, in your situation, in your experience, you
Yeah.
have these three categories. You find someone that is moving or
Yep.
buying a home for a personal reason. Let's just say it wasn't the happiest moment of their life.
Okay.
What other thing over-encumbers their, I would say, decision making? In
If
a
they're
moment
moving?
of in a moment when they're going through some massive life changes that they had no control over and they didn't want to be a part of. Like you said, maybe their mother just died.
Yeah.
Or
So they got to
just
move
divorced.
drastically.
They have to move drastically.
What can over-encumber it?
What is one
Are
thing-
they moving from a house they own?
Yes.
Okay, well then I would obviously say selling their old house, right?
Yes, but you're getting. But why would that be difficult?
Well, I mean,
Let's just say in
yeah.
a specific case for again
Yeah.
a death or divorce, why would that be difficult?
well, I mean, if it's a death, you probably.
He's overthinking it.
I am. Just give me the answer.
Emotions.
Okay. All right. I get you. Absolutely. And it's crazy that you say that because the capitalistic society of America right now really capitalizes on emotions. You can
And
tell.
I should have just let him keep going because it was probably going to be great what he was
Yeah.
about to say.
But no, but like if you think about it, we're the two most expensive and most rising in price activities. It's weddings and unfortunately funerals. And painfully so, that's because emotions are heavily involved and people make less money conscious decisions. Not that it's a bad decision, right? For your loved one that just passed away, spending that money can definitely be justified. But because the emotions are involved, you aren't as financially considerable, right? Considering your finances as much. And you're absolutely correct if you're going through divorce, if you had a loss in the family and you have to just move out of that house because you can't handle it, and or you take on a property of a loved one that passed away and you're the grantee, you're the executor to the property, and or you have to move out of your house to move closer to a relative or a parent that's going through health issues. All these things, I've seen people lose thousands and thousands of dollars in the plus $20,000 range simply because, one, they don't really care as much about the price. They just want to get the job done. And two, they don't care about the people that support and professionally support them. So they might take on an agent, a lender, somebody professionally identifying for them. And those individuals are also just looking at it like a task, getting it up and out of the way. And in the long run, Chad and I see these people going through probate, these people going through divorce, these people going through trying to relocate for a family member, lose so much money that they could have easily avoided losing. And I would argue, like you're trying to hint at, 2-3 years down the road, they'll be like, man, I wish I didn't make this purchase. And I wish I made this choice when I sold. I wish I looked past the emotions because I would have made $10,000 and I would have saved $10,000 over here, kind of idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love.
And another unfortunate reality of the high stakes emotional situation is there are people out there that will prey on it.
Yeah,
prey on those situations and they will take advantage of it. So in addition to what you were just talking about, it's always good, again, especially in a state of high emotions, that you have someone in your corner that is also looking out for you and protecting you.
Maybe with personal vendetta for the process, but still not emotional about your,
of course,
empathetic but rational.
Now we've kind of discussed the categories, and I think we should just kind of end it up here. It's okay. How do you build your personal affordability framework?
Yeah.
Number one, identify your category, and honestly, these can be intertwined. You can have multiple of each, but it's truly, I think, important to identify.
Just identify what's in there.
What is in there?
So you
right?
can, yep.
What's driving this move? Is it personal? Is it lifestyle? Is it professional?
Mm-hmm.
The understanding these things will help you determine your timeline, determine your non-negotiables, and of course your risk tolerance as well.
And it could also be lifestyle. Like a lot of you listening to this might just have clicked on it because you're like, I don't know if I want to get in the housing market. I don't have to, but I'm thinking about buying, right? So you have plenty of time to kind of consider it.
So once you've identified, your category is define your monthly comfort zone. Right? The number you can live with, not now, but also long term.
And don't forget about utilities.
Don't forget about utilities.
And consider HOAs.
And this needs to be considered just as heavily, if not more, than the purchase price of the house.
Absolutely.
In general.
Absolutely.
You need to consider these things. Yeah. After you've done that, you map out your non-negotiables, your functional needs, your location needs, and your lifestyle needs. Again, it's not all or nothing. Mm-hmm. You can have many of the things that you're looking for. You just may have to be a little again, have non-negotiables. Have one things that you must have and you need versus the things that would be nice to have and the wants that you have.
Yep. And I'll close. Sorry.
No, you're good. And I'd say the last point is, again, just understanding your trade-offs.
Yep.
Right? Every buyer has them. The earlier
Yep.
and the earlier you identify them, the less stressed you are going to be when you're.
And the more
going to
competent decisions you'll be able to make as you're analyzing to and fro. We like to call it compartmentalization for your mentalities. If you know what you're looking for based off your, your personal, professional, and lifestyle, and then you also understand what you should be looking for when it comes to those extracurricular costs, and you're thinking about this as a monthly attribute versus just a pre-approval price range. The other thing I'm sure you guys are kind of looking for in this podcast is yes or no, can I afford to buy a house right now? If you can't tell, the answer is yes. It's just not that it's yes. You got to be careful that you don't accidentally find out you should have afforded a little bit less of a house. So many times people are scared to enter the housing market, and then they look into it and they're like, holy cow, I can afford so much more than I realized. And you're like, no, you can't. You can buy a house, and you should buy a house. We definitely recommend it just due to the fact that it's a beautiful way to mix investment with pleasure. But on top of that, you're going to find when you look into it, speak to a lender, speak to an agent, you're going to find out more than likely, holy cow, I can not only afford a house, I can afford a house so much more expensive than I thought. And I wish I didn't buy that house that was that expensive, right? So just know what you're dealing with when
focus
it comes
on
to
what
it.
you can control.
Yep.
Focus on what you can control. Understand that affordability is personal.
Yep.
It is not universal.
Mm-hmm.
Use these categories to help yourself stay grounded, especially when emotions arise.
Stay grounded is a good one, right?
And remember, the right home is what fits your needs, not what fits the market's headlines. It's what is a good fit for you, not what everybody else is talking about.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Robert.
My name is Chad.
And this is Intellectually. You guys have a wonderful evening.